Hello, gang. Just a quick, today's Wednesday, February 26, 2025. A quick video exclusive regarding this whole gold pass thing. A gold card versus a green card. The gold cards aren't replacing all the green cards. And normally, or I should say, my first reaction to this was, I don't know, buying admittance to the United States. Well, let's back up. Whatever happened to people wanting to come here being required to get sponsors? And those sponsors would be responsible for the people who got here if they didn't work out, couldn't find jobs, whatever. The sponsors were supposed to be responsible for the people coming in, right? It was a recommendation or in a resume standpoint, right? A referral. You're getting a referral. They are not adhering, they are advocating or speaking on behalf of your character, right? Martin Luther King Jr., contents of character. I don't care where you come from. You should have a sponsor, and they should be responsible for you. And if you prove that your character has been lied about and you're a low-life piece of shit, you need to be kicked out, not allowed to go on welfare. What happened to green cards requiring sponsors? We need to get back to that. Now, as to the gold card thing, if someone has $5 million, basically, they are then being their own sponsor. They're putting up $5 million, saying, I have the money, I will take care of myself to then come into the United States because I hate to break it to you, no poor person ever gives another person a job other than, shoveling the snow, raking the leaves, right? It takes middle-class people able to build businesses to be able to employ others, or, I hate to break it to you, rich people, they got the money to create the businesses, which then employ people, hopefully, that are poor and move them into the middle class. So while at first I thought the 5 million thing, well, I don't know about that, but it's like Disney Easy Pass. It's like Disney now talking about having surge pricing. Not a big fan of that either, but I get it. As a free market guy, I understand basic economics, and you want to spread customers out. Disney was doing peak and off-peak. Surge pricing is basically peak and off-peak, more detailed. I've got no problem with Disney saying, if you buy tickets to the park for X date, and we're almost at capacity to the park, which is a whole other thing. I've been there. It's too crowded. I think the capacity number is way too high, should be reduced so there's less people in the park any day you go there. But that's a whole other thing. Surge pricing. You want to go on such and such a date, but we're at 80% of park capacity already that day. Yeah, we're going to charge you more for that day than others in that 80% that got us to the 80%. Someone who bought the first ticket for such and such a date indeed should pay less. And as they near capacity, more and more and more and higher prices, because they want to shift you to other days that aren't as busy. And that's not a problem. That's free markets. That's a good thing. Right? Supply and demand. And it's the same thing here now with immigration. I'm not against having poor people come in as long as they have a sponsor. Not if they're flooding over the border without a sponsor and immediately going to go on welfare? No, I have no problem, kind of not like surge pricing here, but millionaires. If you've got 5 million, okay, you put that down. You're your own sponsor. We know you're not going to be here on welfare. We know you are going to be here, or as Trump says, corporations like a football player, a quarterback might get a signing bonus. This is Apple might buy 5 of these for 25 million and give them to people who are in the top of their class at college for whatever, and would otherwise be then kicked out of the country. Apple retains 5 of these great people. They pay it as a signing bonus for these people. They are then their sponsor, knowing that they're going to do not be on welfare. Or again, others, if you've got 5 million to put down, you're coming here to create a business and create jobs, which helps out poor people. This is not a bad thing. This is not negative. This is not stupid. This is smart. And then the whole thing about if 200,000 of them, all right, not going to happen overnight, but let's say 200,000 indeed over Trump's entire second term, $5 trillion. Okay? We currently run almost $2 trillion a year deficit. So is that $5 trillion going to pay down any of our debt, really? No, not really. However, that over Trump's 4-year term, as long as DOGE is doing their job and Congress does their jobs and cuts actual departmental budgets, cut out the waste, fraud, and abuse, and then cut their budgets that match that, we will be reducing our deficit. And that $5 trillion means then between lowering the deficit through reduced spending and that extra $5 trillion, it means over the course of Trump's 4 years, the budget will have been balanced, not paying down debt, but at least not adding more debt. Now, of course, again, we're talking over 4 years, so the first couple years, there's still going to be deficits and adding to the debt. The last 2 years, hopefully, there could then be a budget surplus, and indeed, then we pay down on that debt. In the aggregate, over the 4-year term, it would be balanced budgets across the board. And then beyond that, hopefully, we have the actual budget in balance, and any gold passes would then be bonus money. Even if it's only a couple $100 billion a year, we pay almost $1 trillion a year on interest payments on our $37 trillion debt alone, and running headlong, if the Democrats were to have their way, to $40 trillion in debt in the next 2 years. So a couple $100 billion will at least then help us to start to pay down that debt in like J.D. Vance's first term. So while my first reaction was like a leftist snowflake and talk about, oh my God, the unfairness. No, it's perfectly fair and it's perfectly right to do. They want to be here. Let them buy their way in here. Why would we just open the border and let anyone and everyone in who then goes on welfare cost us money? The gold cards make sense, so we actually earn some money to stop these doggone deficits and this out of control debt. The alternative continues to be the left Cloward and Piven plan to bankrupt America. That's why they keep defending all this waste, fraud, abuse, money laundering. Well, 2 reasons. One, they're laundering money back to themselves. The other thing is that they want to Cloward and Piven the United States into complete bankruptcy, completely upending our system, which they think through communism, they'll bankrupt us, and then they'll be able to rein in communism. Hello, why would you put in place a communist system when the communism bankrupted the system? You purposely instituted communism to bankrupt the system we got. If we're broke, if we're bankrupt, there's no money for anyone, you leftards. We must cut our deficits to zero by the end of Trump's term and go into surplus J.D. Vance's first and second terms and pay down our debt to come back from the brink of bankruptcy. And no, we're not cutting Social Security or Medicaid at all. We are cutting the fraud in the system. They're not going bankrupt. They're being defrauded into non-existence. If Social Security and Medicare go bankrupt, there's no money for anyone who is actually entitled to it, because the left put all kinds of burdens on the system that weren't legally entitled to it based on the creation of the programs in order to bankrupt them. We can save Social Security and Medicare without raising taxes by cutting out the fraud so that it's there for people who really are supposed to have it. So there's no cuts there. There is elimination of fraud. At any rate, this was about the gold cards. And my first reluctance, but absolutely, it makes perfect sense in free markets. If you have the means to pay to come to America, why the hell would... It's like Disney saying, we're just going to throw open the gates and let everybody come in. First come, first serve. Everybody just pile in, nobody pay. No, there are people willing to pay to go to Disney. And Disney is a business who wants to make a profit, so they charge money. The United States of America is not a for-profit business, but we're in debt. So we should be open to taking in monies which way we can to get rid of our deficits and start to pay down our debt. Okay, clear as mud, right? If you didn't follow all that, hit replay and go through it all again, because this makes perfect common sense. Again, the golden era is the common sense era, and the left have no common sense. They don't care, they don't know, they don't want to know, because they do know just enough that if they really knew, their emotional, hysteric, delusional bubble snowflakism would be burst. Okay? This is common sense. It's about time we apply it and stop the left purposely, willfully, and malice aforethought supporting fraud in order to bankrupt America. Enough. It stops now. I am Joseph M. Leonard, the host of Constitutionalist Politics Podcast. Hoping you will tune in every weekend. Also hoping you will watch for the companion Constitutionalist Politics book, Politics from a Christian-based U.S. constitutionalist perspective. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help.